hasn't happened, and you only have one last crack.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important you go in feeling good about your offense, their ability to move the ball, do some consistent things. I think that's what's important more so than anything else. So do I feel pretty good about us? Yes, I do. Would I have liked to see us score touchdowns? Yes, I would have liked to have seen that. But I'm not going to sweat it right now. I like exactly what we're doing. I like how we're moving the ball. And it's just a matter of us continuing to work and keep improving at what we're doing.
Thank you.
Pete?
In regard to Jamin Davis, he told us how he wants to get to a point where he's playing fast, and I know you have an affinity for playing fast as well. Looking at him from last night, do you think there's more instances of him kind of showing off those instincts, or is there still a little bit of thinking, a little half-stepping going on?
You see a little bit of both. You see him doing the things that become very natural for him, and you see him get going right away. A couple things that he tends to hesitate and have to read through a little bit more. You see that false step or that late step. So he's still developing, still learning, but compared to last week, I thought he did some things. He did a lot more better things, more consistent, and you see the growth. That's probably the biggest thing is you see the improvement, and you see him playing faster and faster. That was one of the really big positives as far as I was concerned watching the tape.
And when you go with some of those two linebacker sets, what do you like about the Bostic-Holcomb pairing specifically? Because we saw that twosome out there a good amount last night.
You did. Well, you saw a little bit more savvy, understanding, and feel for things. It's one of those things that they've worked together for a couple of years already, so they communicate well, and that's what you want to get those guys with when Jamin's in there, whether it's with Bostic or it's with Cole. I think, again, that would come through practice and working together.
Hey, Ron, I wanted to ask you about somebody who didn't play last night, Curtis Samuel, because obviously when we ask about where the offense is, that's a big factor, not having him out there. We're heading into the last week before the final preseason game. Do you anticipate him being on the field this week for a practice, and if for a full practice? And if so, do you think can realistically play against the Ravens?
We'll see. I'll continue. We'll continue to watch, see how he's developing, going through things. The nice thing is we still have a little over 21 days before we play our first game.
And I guess I know you've said you're not worried about it, and that you guys as a coaching staff are familiar with him. But as you're trying to get the offense going to try to get that ball in the end zone with a new quarterback and all those things, is it all becoming a little concerning that he hasn't been able to get on the field and to get these guys as much work together as possible?
Well, that's the only thing you're concerned with is getting them to work together. Other than that, we have some other guys that we feel pretty good about too.
Let's go Rhiannon and then back to Nikki. Or just Nikki. Is Rhiannon on here? No, she's not here. Okay, Nikki, go ahead.
Hi, Ron. At this point, are you able to say that Ryan Fitzpatrick is your starter for week 1?
Yeah, I can.
Will you? Or
No.
Okay.
We don't play for 21 days. Okay. So whenever, it's time to say it, I'll say it. Whenever we got to put out the first depth chart, you guys will see. But right now, that's not the important thing. The important thing is we continue to work and prepare and get ready, and everybody competes. Whether it's fait accompli or not. I just think, we get caught up right now in something that's not as important as practicing and developing and learning and doing things the right way.
What would you like to see from Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen over these last week or so of training camp?
Just continued growth. I think those two guys have done a nice job when they've gotten opportunities. You go back and you look at some of the things that Taylor did in the first 2 games, and you watch what Kyle did in the last one, and you see that they're developing and growing. They're still young football players. There's still a lot of football left for those guys to play. The nice thing about Fitz is he's such a veteran guy. Things come so natural, so easy. And when you watch the comparison in my mind between the 3 of them, you do see the savvy veteran and Fitz show. It's just, his experience just stands out. And what I've said is we're looking for a guy that can manage the game, make plays when he has to, get players to grow and develop. and we're getting that right now. So I'm excited about what we can potentially be, and as we go through this, like I said, with about 21 more days left to go, we'll just keep working.
Mate, I guess I'm up. Hey, Ron, how did you feel about the progression of Sam Cosmi and John Bates week 1 to week 2?
I like what we saw. I really do. I thought Sam continues to compete and practice and play hard and work hard. I like John because I think John's quickly understanding his role and how he fits for this offense. And at the same time, I like how he works because he knows that the more he develops, the better he gets, the more he'll get an opportunity to play more and more. He's done a nice job for us. He really has. It's a lot of work to learn what we do offensively. It's a lot of work to take it and use it consistently. And you're starting to see him play more and more consistent, practice more and more consistent. That's probably the good thing about it. Thing about Sam's been a natural fit. He's gotten the opportunity. He really has taken advantage of it.
And then a couple of times, you had talked about Ryan's decision-making last night. You were pleased with it overall. And there were a couple of times where it looks like right decision, ball, his arm gets hit, whatever. But there are a couple of times too where it looks like he locked in maybe a little bit on Adam over the middle. Was that what you don't think so on those?
No. When you watch the tape and you see those things, more than anything, it's a little bit more developing that feel between himself and the receivers. He is anticipating something different from the receiver, and the receiver did something opposite.
Okay.
So that's just comes to working and refining and getting a good feel for it. I love the decision. Unfortunately, he threw it too far out in front of Logan twice. One time for the first down, the other time for a touchdown. He had Adam. I love the decision. One time he just overthrew Adam through the middle. He led Miami just a little bit too much. He had Adam Humphrey. He thought Adam was gonna cross face, and Adam felt because the guy squared him up, he had to go and pivot back out. So again, that's just getting a little bit more feel and understanding of one another. There's a lot of natural things that happen. If there's anything that I would say about Ryan that's that I would ever wonder about is in practice. Every now and then he will try and force the ball. And that's, I think that's, just a guy that's very confident in his ability to throw that ball through that window.
And the one I was talking about too was the one you talked about where he thought Adam was going to cross the face of the linebacker. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Ron, on the rewatch, what did you make of that 4th and short?
The one we didn't convert on?
Yeah.
That was disappointing to me. I felt we could have hit that a little harder. There was a little bit of hesitation. I thought from my perspective of watching it, I thought we could have stayed on the double team a little bit longer and then worked up a little bit. I think we might have come off that a little bit sooner than we needed to. And again, I think a little bit of hesitation on AG's on Antonio that might have given that guy that little extra chance to get in there and make the play. But I think it's the right call because we went back to it a little bit later in the game and converted with it.
We've talked about hesitation a couple last night as well. I wonder, how do you see that? Is that, coming, getting the handoff with his feet even, or kind of how do you see that hesitation?
I think it's not quite understanding how to really press that play. In other words, just take the ball, get downhill as quickly as you can, and just believe that the crease is going to be there. Sometimes that hesitation is to set up a block or set up the crease, but when it's 3rd and short, to me, you just got to go get it. You've got to go downhill and pick that up.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron. Wanted to ask about Jaret Patterson. The theory might be wrong, so feel free to correct if it is, but it seems like of undrafted players, the guys who always kind of make the roster are running backs. Do you have any idea of why that position, what about that position sets up for an undrafted guy to make
there used to be a time where you used to say there's so many of them that you're going to miss on 1 or 2 of them. But I think what's happened too is I think that position has been so undervalued in the last recent few drafts that I don't think we spend enough time really studying them like we should. We were very fortunate that one of our scouts, our Northeast scout, Peter Piccarelli, absolutely loved the kid, and he hammered Marty and Martin on him. We liked him, but just listening to our scouts just really kind of, just let us know, hey, this guy, we got you. Then you really put the tape on, you really truly look at the kid, and all of a sudden you think there's something there. I mean, we had a draftable grade on him. And what happened was some of our other needs were standing out a little bit more. And I will be honest too, Chase called, and because they know each other, they grew up, they work out together. And he said, hey, how's my guy doing? And I said, Chase, we got him on the board. We like him. Okay, I tell you, he wants to be here, And I listen to the players. We listen to the players, they know. And so it was one of those things, we kept a real good eye on him. But I really do think what's happened is that position is very undervalued right now because everybody's willingness to want to throw the ball 35, 45, 50 times a game and only run it 10 to 20. So I think the game's changing a little bit, that the value of the running back isn't there like it used to be. You don't see a lot of high-priced, high-valued wide running backs unless they have some potential in terms of the passing game. So that's, I think, something that's kind of slipping right now.
Out of curiosity, what was your guys' draft grade on them?
It was a good grade. It was a good grade. It was good enough to be drafted, that's for sure.
Thank you.
JP, are you on here?
Yeah, Charlie. Hey, Ron. I was just curious, when you get to this point in the preseason and the roster battles really kind of start to come to light, how important is somebody's draft status in that process?
Maybe the only time it's ever important is the first year. After that, you start looking at the guys that are going to help you right now. You really don't want to cut a guy that you drafted right away. But you want to play the guys that give you the best opportunity to win. That, I think, is important. And then sometimes there's a certain point every now and then where you just have to admit a mistake too and move on.
And then with last night, you can't be thrilled that the starters, Fitzpatrick, haven't scored a touchdown, but at the same time, if you look at the yardage numbers, they're pretty strong. How do you kind of balance the need to get in the end zone in preseason versus getting good work?
Well, I think that's exactly it, JP. It is about good work. And like I said, the thing that was kind of pleasing and yet still disappointing was, Fitzy made great decisions. He just delivered a ball that was a little bit too high and away as far as Logan was concerned. And I think the one he threw to Adam was a little bit outside. So he had opportunities to put points on the board for us. He made good decisions. Unfortunately, the execution part, the ball was just a little bit out of reach. But again, it was a good play call, good execution up to the point where we just didn't convert as far as the throw and catch. But again, we made good decisions. We moved the ball. It's the second week in a row. I think that we dominated the time of possession, yardage, stuff like that. So I think our guys are getting it. They are putting it together. But we'll see what happens.
Thanks.
Olivia.
Hey, Ron, excuse me if this was asked already. My Wi-Fi is just awful this morning. So as you've had a night to kind of go over it, look at film, what will you look at as a whole this week ahead of the last preseason game against the Ravens next Saturday?
We're going to approach this, Olivia, as a mock regular season week. We will put together 100% game plan. We will introduce it to the players on on Tuesday. So Tuesday will technically be what our normal Wednesday will be. Wednesday will be our normal Thursday. Thursday will be our normal Friday as far as game plan prep. I want to see how we handle that as we go through these things. I want to see how everybody seems to adjust and adapt. We'll pay attention how these guys retain, how they adjust, and just how they handle the whole week. That's going to be a real good indicator as to our readiness, or in terms of getting ready for the regular season. So we'll approach that, and everybody will get, they'll get their game plans just like we would a normal week. So we're going to approach it that way, and again, we're just going to try and see how guys handle the whole week of preparation.
Thanks, Ron.
All righty.
Finish it off with Charlotte.
Hey there, Ron. Going back to Jaret, I know last night you said that he was solid, and we all saw that as well. But what do you, in all honesty, need to see from him this week and moving forward to give him that roster spot?
Could you ask that one more time? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just going back to Jaret, last night you said that he was solid. His play was solid. We've seen that obviously in the first 2 games. But in all honesty, what do you need to see from him to give him that roster spot?
Well, you want to see that he can do it again. We're going to come up against a very good Baltimore team. He's going to be in some tough situations going into this game in terms of who we're going to put him up against, and just see how he handles it. I mean, he's been solid so far. This will be a good week. Like I said, this week will be about game prep, and then we'll see how he takes it and handles it going into Saturday's game.
And real quick, you said you listened to the players, how Chase was obviously all team Jaret early on, but it seems like these guys are really rallying around him. Talking to the different guys last night, I think Diami said he loves the guy. Are you seeing that from these guys, that they are really just embracing this undrafted rookie?
Oh yeah, most certainly. It was great because the other day he got up and had to do the rookie song too. What was that he sung? Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low. Yeah, I believe he sung that. And he, it's interesting because he gets it. He does. He doesn't say much. He works hard. He stays after. He does the extra things. He asks guys for opinions and advice. I mean, he's approaching it the way I think that his teammates appreciate. They know he's an undrafted rookie free agent. He's taken the ball in every opportunity he's had. He just works hard at it, and they appreciate that. And so when you win your teammates over, we notice as coaches. We notice that. It's one of those things that when you're starting quarterback, your starting defensive line, they start recognizing players, and you see them working with them, talking to them. There's something there. And so we as coaches pay attention to that, because if a guy, it's like watching the way Sam Cosme and Brandon Scherf have bonded. You see that communications there. You see that, extra little something after the play, and you can see like Brandon telling, Cos, hey, when we come in, I'll try to work over the top and get that turn before I leave. So those things tell you that these guys fit. These guys can be part of what you're trying to do. And we've seen that with Jaret an awful lot, not just with guys like Diami and not just with guys like Chase, but some of the offensive linemen will turn around and tell him, hey, if you see me start turning and work off of my hip and cut inside, those are the things that mean something. And we'll continue to watch that, because when players react to other players, it tells you something about them.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks,
Thank
Chuck.
you.